Hi everyone, welcome to another session of quarantine cooking with Stir Crazy. I'm Brett and I'm going to show you a butternut gnocchi with fresh tomato coulis recipe this evening. So this is what it looks like. Hopefully we get to this at the end of the day. And let me just run through some ingredients for you. So first off, we're going to have some tomato paste. We've got 2 sessions of butter. One is going to go into the butternut. One is going to go into our tomato sauce. We've got an egg yolk, garlic, chili, a bit of sugar, some fresh oregano, some fresh basil, some Parmesan cheese, and then a tin of whole peel tomato, and then about 500 grams of butternut. So this butternut I've roasted in the oven, so you can see it's nicely charred, and I've seasoned it with a little bit of mixed spice, which is a bit of a combination of cinnamon, cloves, etc. So the nice thing about this recipe is it doesn't necessarily need to be butternut. You can use potato, you can use sweet potato, you can use a whole bunch of different things to make gnocchi. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you how to make the gnocchi from scratch. We're going to roll it up so you can actually try that at home. So let's start off with the butternut. I'm going to take this, and this is roasted for about half an hour. I'm just going to, in the oven at about 180, I'm just going to mash this up nicely. And it is still a little bit wet, so what we're going to do is we're actually just going to fry this up in a frying pan with a bit of butter.
So why roast it?
The roasting just gives it a really nice sort of nutty flavor. Okay, so it doesn't need to be too fine, so this is going to be a nice coarse sort of mixture that we're making. Let me just push that up a little bit more. Okay, so just get this nice and evenly spread. There we go. Perfect. And then I'm just going to add some butter to the frying pan quickly. And then we're going to heat that up, and we get that. There's about 15 grams of butter here. Stick that in the pan and get that going. And then what we're going to do with this is we're going to take the butternut, stick it in here, and then we're going to add the butternut to that, fry it up a little bit, add some salt and pepper and some flour, and then just get that cooking for about 3 to 4 minutes. Okay, so let's get all this on the go. So I'm just going to wait for that butter to melt. And yeah, while I'm just waiting for that butter to melt, guys, we've started doing some online cooking classes now. So actual virtual online cooking classes. So if you want me in your kitchen helping you how to cook, teaching you how to cook something, we can even use ingredients from your fridge that you've got available. But we've got a scheduled class on Friday, this coming Friday at 12 o'clock for about an hour and a half. And then next week we're going to be doing sushi, and then we're also doing a dim sum session. So you decide what you'd like to do. Come and join us. It's nice and cheap. It's about 350 bucks. And you join some other people and actually do a virtual class. It's going to be quite fun. So we're looking forward to that. Right, so I've got my butter pretty much melted here. I'm just going to add this butternut sugar. Just going to add that up and then just fry that up a little bit. In the meantime, what I've also done is I've actually I've got a big pot of water on the boil. So this one is tired. Just use that. So yeah, the water's boiling at the moment at the back there, and that's going to be for our pasta a little bit later. Okay, so that's cooking up nicely. So let's just mix that in, make sure that that butter gets in there nicely. Just like that. Okay, so gnocchi is pretty much like it's like a pasta. So basically what we're doing is we're going to add some standard flour in here. You can use any kind of flour you want. So if you're wheat intolerant, you can use a gram flour, which is a chickpea flour. You can also use a rice flour or coconut flour, anything like that that's going to make it stick together. Okay, so I'm going to add my flour in. We use quite a bit of flour. There's about 150 grams of flour in here. You just mix in slowly. And while this is cooking, we're just going to mix that in. And that's going to thicken the whole lot. There we go. And you'll see it start slowing down. Also, obviously, the flour absorbs quite a nice bit of the heat. We're going to have to get this cooled a little bit before we start rolling it. You can see it's starting to get nice and pasty. There we go. I'm just going to add the rest of the flour. And the interesting thing about this is the more you mix this up, the wetter it gets. So the flour does absorb some of the moisture, but you'll see when you start working with it, you're actually going to have to use quite a bit of flour on the side to help roll the little balls up into gnocchi. Okay, so that's almost done. I'm just going to season this with a bit of salt and pepper, and you can put any kind of seasoning in here. So obviously the sauce will also make the flavor that you pour over it, and the sauce that we've got is this nice rich Italian sort of tomato sauce.
Can I put on pause just quickly? Jo just joined and she said, I just missed the first bit. She said, is that cooked butternut in the pan, and is there anything else?
Yeah, so the butternut in the pan here has been roasted for about 30 minutes in an oven at about 200 degrees. And then we've just added some butter to this. We're just cooking it up and then adding the flour. And this is just going to cook for about 3 minutes or so. I'm just going to turn that on to sort of medium heat. And then we're going to
Lauren wants to know if she can come over for supper. Hey, Lolly.
Anytime. Right, we're ready to rock and roll here. Okay, so that's going to cook for a little bit longer. I'm just going to keep stirring it. Then we're going to start making the tomato sauce. So let's do that quickly. So I'm going to add some butter to that. It's about 60 ml of butter. Just get that to melt a little bit. And keep stirring this, guys, otherwise it is going to burn. This just needs to stir. Okay, that's pretty much done. Okay, and it's obviously, the longer you cook this, the more flavor you're going to get out of this. Right. So I'm going to put this aside and just stick it on the back. I'm just going to allow that to cool. So what we want to do here with this batter is we want to get this batter to caramelize slightly. So I've got it on quite a high heat, and we want it to get that sort of browny effect, and gives that a really nice flavor. You don't want to burn the batter, obviously, but you want to get it to a point where it's just starting to change color. I'm going to add my tomatoes. One thing, guys, I generally use these Italian plum tomatoes. They've got a really good flavor. The tomatoes that you buy in our shops here are terrible. They've got no flavor. They're just full of water. So, you know those big beef tomatoes? Don't use those. If you can find Italian plum tomatoes, then use those. Otherwise, use a tin tomato. All right. So what we've got here is just, you can come and take a look into this. This is starting to brown a little bit. Okay, but not too much. All right. So just get it into a nice sort of, it's like a hazelnut type of color that you want to get it to. Okay, and once we've done that, I'm going to add my tomatoes. I'm making quite a bit of sauce tonight because, yeah, we want to use that sauce on all sorts of other things, so you can make as much sauce as you want. Right, so you can see that color coming through here. There you go. Okay, now I'm going to add this tomato in. Let's put that up, and the tomato paste. Okay, there we go. And then I've got some oregano. I'm just going to take a few leaves of oregano. We are going to blitz this up, so I'm not worried about putting sort of whole leaves in there. And I'm going to take some basil as well. We're just going to chop that up a little bit. And stick that in. Okay, so this is just chiffonating the basil, but we're going to do that a little bit later, so that's nice and fine. Add that to the dish. Also going to season this, obviously, with a little bit of salt and pepper. And then I'm going to add my garlic in. Okay, so just some salt. And then we're going to add a little bit of chili into it, because I find that chili actually adds a lot of flavor into it. You don't need to put a super hot chili in, but just get your chili out, take the seeds out. Nice easy way of taking the seeds out like that. And then depending on how hot you want your sauce, obviously I quite like it a little bit spicy. So we're going to put a whole chili in here. And guys, when you're working with chilies, please be careful not to touch your eyes, your mouth, your nose, any wobbly bits. It's going to burn you. Okay. Then we're going to add the sugar, and then lastly I'm just going to add my garlic. A nice whole clove of garlic will make a big difference to this. And then I'm going to let this sit and cook. So ideally what you want to do is you want to let this cook for about an hour or so on a really low heat. And that'll make this really nice rich sauce with lots of flavor in it. We don't have the time for that on the cooking show, so we're just going to have to work on not such a great sauce tonight, but all the flavors will be there anyway. Okay, so you just mix that up. I'm not too worried about the whole tomatoes in here. I'm just going to break them up a little bit, and then we're going to blitz this a little bit later, so you can see that's cooking off nicely. Okay, I'm going to turn this right now, and then that's just going to sit there for a bit. Okay, so by now our butternut should have cooled, and I'm going to transfer it to a bowl. Okay, so you can see it's quite nice and sticky. It is still a little bit hot. So please be careful, just make sure this is cooled properly before you start working with it. I'm just going to sprinkle it with a little bit of flour. And then just mash it up a bit. Okay, so that flour is just going to allow it to release a little bit more and bind. I'm going to take my egg. And the whole egg goes into that, and that egg's also going to just help it a little bit along the way, just to bunch everything together. Okay, does anyone have any questions yet? All good?
Tiff says she's got drool down her chin. Kay says, oh, that looks delicious.
Okay, so what we're going to do now, this is what I try and do, is you actually take a bunch of this, so you can see this sticks to your hand quite a bit. So try and get a floury bit, chuck it in there, and then you work with it like this. So you want to make these sort of size balls. Just a small little ball like that. I'm going to put it in my fingers, push it down like that to make like a little sausage. There you go. That's one. Okay. And you can make them any size you want to. Try not to make them too big. So what you want to do is do them a little bit bite-sized. They are going to grow in size. So don't make too much or make them too large. And this process is pretty straightforward. So you take a piece from there. It's not going to stick too much. Make a little ball and roll it up like that. And there we go. So I'm only going to make a few of these. I'm going to make about 10 of these. But as I said at home, you can literally use any kind of ingredient. Most gnocchi is made out of potatoes, but you can try all sorts of things. You can even try a courgette gnocchi. Never tried that before. If anyone does a courgette gnocchi, please send us a picture. I'd like to see how that works out. Okay. So just coating with flour. As I also mentioned to you, if you are gluten intolerant or can't handle or wheat intolerant, then use a different type of flour. Okay. So you're just working this all the time. So moving this from one place to another, you can see my little things are getting a bit smaller. Okay, this one's a bit big. I'm going to redo that one. So you want them all more or less the same size. Okay, and this is a nice quick meal. I mean, another way of doing this is to actually pipe your gnocchi. So we did this for a function once for about 60 people. So imagine sitting and making these things for 60 people on the go. So what we did was we put it into a piping bag, and we put a long string of gnocchi on the table, and we literally just chopped it up and rolled it at the same time. So that worked quite nicely. Okay, just a few more of these and then we'll start cooking them. And then our sauce is going quite nicely here. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Okay, so literally once you get going on this, guys, it's going to take you probably about 20 minutes to finish this whole dish. So obviously the butternut's you can roast the butternut beforehand. The other nice thing about this gnocchi is that you can actually freeze it. So once you've made all of these balls, you can make all of this ahead of time, and then stick it in a freezer for an occasion, pull it out. All you have to do is stick it in a pot of boiling water, and off you go. Right, I'm going to make 3 more, and then I think we're ready to rock and roll. Here we go.
Can you roll it out in your hands in one long strand the same way and then cut it up without a bag?
Let's do that.
Roll. I think that's a good idea. Brilliant. Good question, Joe.
There we go. Let's show you how to do that. Obviously the danger in this one is it's sticking to your hand, but it is possible, so you can do it like that. This is what we did at the function the other day. Okay, just take a knife, and you literally just cut it like that.
Just want to make sure that the dough is all pressed in.
Yeah. So that's a nice quick way of doing it. So you can actually, and this way you can also get a nice even spread of gnocchi. Okay, so you can see that's a little bit faster. There you go. Good suggestion, Joe. Okay, so that's our gnocchi done. And then what we're going to do is, just to finish it off a little bit, we're going to take a fork and just press it down a little bit on a fork like that. That's what your gnocchi is going to end up looking like on your plate. Okay, looks like that. Nothing major. Alright. Okay, so then you can come around this side. We're going to stick this in a pot of boiling water. Okay, so what you want here is you want to have a sort of a sieve handy to pull everything out. This one's quite a nice, get this whole thing out and everything comes out with it. So I'm just going to chuck all of these things in here. All I've got in here is salt. There's no oil or anything in this water. Okay. So you can come and take a look a little bit closer here. So if you see inside there, to the bottom. And what we're going to do is we're going to cook this until it starts floating. As soon as it's floating, then we know it's done. And obviously all of them need to float. That means your flour is cooked, and obviously all the ingredients inside will pretty much the flour, the butternut and everything is cooked already. So I'm just going to let that cook nicely, and then we're going to tackle our sauce. Okay, so you come back here. So this is what our sauce is looking like. It's getting nice and thick. It's looking great. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to chop up some basil. So this here, the Parmesan is for putting on afterwards. And also the basil we're also going to put on afterwards. Okay, so we're just going to take this. I'm going to show you how to chiffonade something. So you take our leaves like this. This is just basil leaves. You're just going to roll this up. It's nice and tight. And just cut it very fine like that, which makes this beautiful little ribbons. And this we're going to stick over the pasta afterwards. Okay, there we go. Right. So I'm going to take this off the heat now. So as I said to you, you can cook this for about at least half an hour. Just to get it nice and thick. And then we're just going to blitz it a bit. I hope this isn't going to jump everywhere. Okay. So we're trying to get a nice smooth sauce out of this. It's delicious. So obviously all of your seasoning and everything has to be in here first before you start blitzing it. But taste it as you go and make sure that everything is up to scratch, because that's going to go directly onto your sauce. I'm also going to add a little bit of cream to this because I like the richness of that cream. Just get some of that and mix that in nicely. Just going to give it a nice light colour. There we go. It looks beautiful.
Smells delicious.
Okay. Fantastic. Right, so we don't need to do anything about heating that up. That's going to be our dish. Let's just see what's happening with the gnocchi here. Okay, so this is going to take about probably 6 to 8 minutes to rise to the top. I don't know if you guys saw Jody cooking yesterday, making the tortellini. And that fresh tortellini, literally, if you're making your fresh pasta, it takes about 2 to 3 minutes to cook. No, not even. It takes about a minute to cook. If you're buying the dry pasta, obviously that's going to take a little bit longer, and the same thing with gnocchi. So you'll find that this cooks a lot quicker than your bought gnocchi. It just tastes so much nicer as well, making your own fresh stuff. So follow the recipe, take a look at the recipe that we did yesterday, and make your own pasta. It's actually really simple. You don't need a big pasta machine. You can do it all by hand, and it doesn't take too long. And it's not like everyone is too busy at home at the moment, so plenty to do at home. Other thing we're doing, guys, is we're doing private classes. So we've had a couple of requests, which is quite nice. We had a lady who said she wants to have a cooking class with her sons. So the one son's in Copenhagen, the other one's in the UK, and she's down in Cape Town. We're doing a group cooking class for her. And you can choose whatever recipes you want to. So that's a really nice idea. We've also got a couple of friends in Dubai. We're getting together and we're going to be doing an online cooking class for them. So if you want a private cooking class, get some people together and we'll do that for you. You choose the recipes. We've got all the online stuff and we'll get it going. And it's a really nice interactive class. So take a look at our website. All the information is on our website. And yeah, just book a course with us. Keeps us going as well. Keeps you interested. You learn something. And you get dinner. How's that? Okay, come take a look here. Okay, you can see all of this is floating now. So I'm going to take this off. Put it onto the mat. I'm just going to drain this.
Tiffany says this is killing me. She says, B, do you get to eat this? I do, darling.
Okay, so there it is, looking good. I'm just going to scoop this out onto a plate, so that's nice and drained. Okay, here's our bowl. What you can also do is roll this around in the sauce. So if you want the sauce to go all over the place, good idea is to actually roll it around in the sauce first. I quite like putting it on top. Let's just do that. And you can be very liberal with the sauce. It's actually delicious. And we'll just stick some around the edges really there.
Wow. Beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. A little bit of Parmesan, and get the nice Parmesan, the Parmigiano Reggiano. It's got the best flavor. Touch of basil. There you go. Look how fantastic that is. There is dinner, guys.
I'd like to
So,
go for.
That's our recipe. The recipe you can find online on our website with all the other recipes we've done for the past 10 days. 10 days. 21 days. Who knows?
Yeah.
We don't know what day it is. Okay, so, yeah, if anyone has any requests, please email us. If you're making any nice dishes, send photographs to us. We've got some really nice pictures coming through of you guys making your own stuff. And then look at our online courses. Our online courses are going to be great fun. Okay, have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.